Hey everyone, it's Kong back again with another Freekong Ragnarok of the Realms Clear. This time, I believe it is 2-4. So the fourth stage of the second set of Ragnarok stages. And this time we're doing a basic Odin rush. Now, one of the main strategies for a lot of these battles is Odin rush, which is basically you bring a bunch of high mobility units, you get your Odin out, he throws his spear at the enemy, you get a bunch of stacks built up, and then hopefully your Odin will do a giant chunk of damage or finish off the enemy against these bosses. All that damage is definitely helpful. So with Freekong, the main limitation to that is the weakness of my overall units. So I'm just getting Odin here, getting my guys clustered up, throwing the spear out, getting rid of a couple of these little assassins. On this stage, where the assassins spawn is RNG, so depending on your strategy, you may want to reset the stage a few times to get good opening position for those guys. If they're far away from your units, that's good, or if you can just wipe them out at the start, that's also good. So we're going to get Tiaris to 3C the rest of our team. Freekong needs as much damage boost as possible. I also open with Gerold and Layla here, because they have Ulver's Staff, Charon, and the Apostle of Doom. So my intention is to try to get defense down and damage taken on the boss, which will boost the damage for the rest of my entire team. Once they've done their job, we're going to sub them out for Bernhardt. And the point of Bernhardt really is his aura. So again, we'll park him next to the boss, and then the rest of my team will do more damage. I mean, we're working with Freekong here, so our burst damage potential is limited, so we need to squeeze out as many of these little bonuses as possible. Then after this, we're basically going to charge in with the remaining DPS of choice. I don't have my side box filled with a whole bunch of other DPS. On this stage, the number of rallies, like the number of swaps that you're allowed to do, is fairly limited. So having a whole bunch of extra DPS in the side box doesn't really help. And the bulk of your damage is going to be done by the people who received the Tiaris 3C attack buff anyway. So Lance is in here because Lance also has a rallying command aura. But I send Matthew in first anyway because he's getting his command from just being Matthew and being near allies. But also, I'm using Hellhounds on him in case my previous attempts at damage taken didn't take. So Matthew is able to apply that via his troops. Then we'll get Lance into the action with a big hit. Doesn't crit, unfortunately. But now he's parked down here with his command aura, so everyone else who comes in to do damage will do extra. Cherie with a nice big hit there, unfortunately not a crit as well. If all these characters crit, it's a significant difference in damage, like Matthew, Lance, 2 hits off Cherie. So that could be something where if I'm just barely missing the kill by under 100,000 damage or something, I might be able to make that up with better crit RNG. So I'm just calculating right now where I need to launch my Parn attack from to get the maximum run-up distance. So it looks like I can move to here and then have maximum run-up distance in a straight line. It's good enough. We also have a routing light on Parn. Also benefits from running up, and no crit on Parn either, so our damage is going to be low on this one. Now, we also have a couple of these dead assassin spirits. They can offer different buffs, so this one is basically just healing. Kind of trying to figure out who I want to put a defensive buff on. This slime will give me... yeah, that's a defensive buff on that slime, too. The slimes can be used... they grant an act again if you kill them, so they can be used to help cool down debuffs or cool down your skill cooldowns if you need to. If you get a couple slimes in range of your units, you can kind of bounce off from one to another and get a skill back. But for now, I gotta get these spirits off the board because I don't want them getting killed by the boss. And I don't think anyone has skills that I'm able to cool down enough with these guys. So I'm just gonna, I think, put a protection, like a damage down, damage up buff on Parn. Boost him a little bit for next turn. Okay, he does a giant scramble here, which is fine. It's not a ton of damage. So one option is to act with someone and then swap Tiaris or Gerold and Layla back in for some healing and debuff removal. So the question for me right now is who I want to throw at the boss first that I can sub out for one of those benched units. Not Bernhardt, because I want to keep Bernhardt on the boss for the aura. So I'm thinking Matthew, because once he's acted... I mean, Cherie potential as well, because she won't have her act again this turn. She doesn't have a skill, so she would just be doing a normal hit into the boss. Matthew as well. He's got an attack down debuff, so it kind of sucks to use him when he could have that debuff removed by a healer and then do more damage on his turn. But again, Matthew's only action is to hit the boss and then stand to put the Hellhound's debuff on, so I think I'm going to go with Matthew. We'll drop the Hellhound's debuff, and then we can bench him. Can't reach that other slime. Oh, that's not even the boss, that's my Odin. Alright. So we'll at least throw an attack down skill at the boss. That's fine, that's not much damage. What we're really hoping to be able to do is get the boss down to an HP threshold where Odin can kill it. So now we can use this little clock guy to bring all my units back closer together, which will help Tiaris hit everyone with Miracle. Just solves our positioning problem. It does make it so we can't move as much, so for units that rely on mobility to do more damage to the boss, that might be a problem, but Odin's already super stacked up, so I'm not really worried about that. So I basically want to make sure that Bernhardt is within aura range of the boss, and that the rest of my DPS are attacking within Lance's command range to make sure we're still doing lots of damage. That closes off a position for people to attack from, though. Oh yeah, that's one unfortunate thing about my current positioning, is one of my whole DPS is not going to be able to attack. Because Cherie's taking one spot, Parn's taking a spot. The boss is backed up against one of these holes in the ground, so that means Lance is not going to be able to get any damage on the boss. So, between missing a bunch of crits and having an attack down Matthew earlier this turn, and missing out on Lance's attack altogether, we're not going to be able to rush the boss down before he does his big line attack. In an ideal Odin rush, you'd be able to finish him off before he does that, because it's pretty dangerous. It can wipe your team if you're not really well built. Might as well have Lance do something. Kill this and maybe the orb will be useful. Alright, so let's get our big Odin damage on. Pretty good. Okay, so the boss is left under 100k. Which means I'm basically going to have to eat this big line AoE and then just clean up damage with whoever is still alive. Which, thanks to Bernhardt, people are in decent shape. Lance can't reach the boss from where he stands. I do have the ability to throw another DPS in, though, from the bench. So I'm not super worried about being able to do enough damage to kill this. It's just a question of who I want to use. Tiaris can't really do any healing, so I think it's a safe bet to sub her out. I'll just put Lance here, and maybe we can benefit from his aura later. I'll put Gerold and Layla in because I know they have a skill, and they can also heal up the rest of my team to prepare for attacking into the boss. And they can do that from Lance's command aura. A little bit of damage. Okay, we should send Bernhardt up next. I'm just seeing where everyone can reach. Bernhardt will want to go up next to make sure we get his debuff aura on the boss, so that Parn and Cherie will do a little bit more damage when they come up. Oh yeah, okay, this is going to be an easy tap now for whoever I bring up next. Parn or Cherie? But ideally, if you're Odin rushing, you can wipe this boss before that line AoE turn. Just do more damage, and then your Odin can finish it off. If you're not dealing with Freekong unit restrictions, like if you're not using Matthew, Lance, and Parn on this boss, if you have any other high mobility, high DPS guys, like even, you know, Elwyn, Leon, characters like that, then pretty easy to get the boss down before he does this. But as you can see, if the boss does line AoE, it's not the end of the world if you've gotten him close enough that you can just finish him off. And here we go, some nice Ragnarok rewards for Freekong. Gonna get 10 blue runes. 12 more new runes. Big pile of runes, and some golden balls as well. Alright, that's it for this one, everyone. I'll catch you in the next one. Happy languishing.